South Africa is a hub for higher education on the African continent, with world-class institutions like WITS, UCT, Stellenbosch, and the University of Pretoria. The country attracts not just South African students, but tens of thousands of learners from across the continent. But behind the scenes, a serious problem has been growing. It's not about lecturers, books, or even tuition fees. It's about where students live. Affordable, safe, and accessible student accommodation is in crisis. Today, we'll take a deep dive into the numbers, the challenges, and the opportunities in South Africa's housing market. In 2020, more than 2.5 million students were enrolled in higher education across the country. That includes universities, TVET colleges, and private institutions. And this number is climbing every year. Our government's target is ambitious. By 2030, they want 1.6 million students at universities and 2.5 million at TVET colleges. That means millions more young people flooding into the system. But here's the question. If we can't house the students we already have, how will we manage the future? Here's where the numbers get worrying. In 2020, South Africa had around 223,000 purpose-built student beds, but the demand, over 700,000 students needed housing that year. That's a shortfall of over 500,000 beds, and it's growing every year. By 2025, the gap is expected to explode to 781,000 missing beds. Even more striking is that nearly 60% of this demand comes from TVET colleges. These are institutions designed to provide skills and training to low and middle class income youth, yet they have the least access to decent housing. The student housing market in South Africa is divided into three clear segments. At the top end, private developers have built modern apartments, often costing between 5,000 Rand and 8,000 Rand per month. These include gyms, study areas, and even entertainment spaces. In the middle of the market, rent sits between 3,000 Rand and 4,000 Rand per month. These developments are growing but remain out of reach for most working class families. And then there's the affordable segment, housing under 3,000 Rand per month. This is where the real crisis lies. Demand is massive, but supply is minimal. For many students, especially those who are supported by the National Student Financial Aid Scheme or NSFAS, affordable housing is the only option. Yet most developers don't see it as profitable enough to pursue. So why aren't developers building for the affordable market? The main barrier is cost. The Department of Higher Education estimates it costs around 225,000 Rand to build a single student bed. Multiply that across the shortfall and you get 115 billion Rand funding gap in 2020, projected to reach 176 billion by 2025. From a developer's perspective, the math doesn't add up. To break even, rent would need to be around 40,000 Rand per year per student, but NSFAS provides an average of only 36,000 Rands for total fees, books, and housing combined. TVET students get even less, just 11,000 Rand per year for accommodation. The result? Students most needing affordable housing are the ones least able to pay it. But there are solutions on the horizon. Developers are exploring green and innovative building methods to cut costs. By using alternative construction materials and faster building technologies, costs can drop by 13% and building time by up to 40%. Green certified buildings in South Africa have already achieved 30% lower utility bills for water and electricity. This means cheaper running costs, healthier living environments, and long-term savings that can be passed on to students. These innovations could transform the affordable housing market if scaled up. To address this crisis, government launched the Student Housing Infrastructure Program, or SHIP, in 2019. The goal is bold: deliver 300,000 new beds over 10 years. Currently, about 38,000 are in the pipeline, with most targeted at universities and only 3,000 at TVET colleges. The program is a partnership between the Department of Higher Education, the Development Bank of Southern Africa, and the National Treasury. It's designed to encourage private sector investment by reducing risks and offering co-funding. But the pace has been slow, and progress is nowhere near what's needed to close the gap. Private investors are interested, but they face big challenges: red tape, public-private partnerships are bogged down in lengthy procurement rules. Banks still see the student housing as risky because the sector is young in South Africa. Unless regulations are streamlined and financing becomes easier, private investment will remain cautious. When COVID-19 hit, campuses shut down and online learning spiked. Some thought this would reduce the need for housing, but the reality is different. Most South African students still prefer and need face-to-face learning. Poor IT infrastructure, high data costs, and unstable connections mean online-only study isn't realistic for most. The future is likely to be hybrid. Some online learning, but still plenty of time spent on campus, which means student housing will remain critical. Student housing isn't just about a bed, it's about safety, health, and the ability to have a successful future. Students without proper accommodation are more likely to drop out, face mental health challenges, and struggle academically. Affordable housing is the difference between opportunity and exclusion for hundreds of thousands of young South Africans. The good news? Student housing is a resilient investment. Globally, it's proven to withstand economic downturns and deliver stable returns. South Africa has strong demand, favorable demographics, and government support through NSFAS. With the right mix of public and private investment and innovative building solutions, the country can close the gap. The future of South Africa's economy depends on students, and their future depends on whether we can provide them with a safe, affordable place to live.